Hello and welcome to the Access Masters Spotlight. My name is Iliana Bobova. I'm Head of Admissions Consulting at Advent Group. Our topic today is choosing the right master's program. My guests today are from two leading European business schools, M. Lyon in France and ESMT in Germany. Both schools have the so-called Triple Crown accreditation that speaks of the high quality of education that they provide to their students. M. Lyon has 5 campuses, 3 in France and 2 abroad. M. Lyon offers several master's degree programs in management, finance, luxury management and marketing, international hospitality management, sports industry management, and also an MBA program. Renaud Henrion, who is with us today, is Head of Recruitment and Admissions for the Master's Programs at M. Lyon Business School. Welcome, Renaud. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And Nick Barneville is Associate Dean at the European School of Management and Technology, ESMT, in Berlin, in Germany. ESMT is known to be the business school created by business, and it provides a master's program in management, an MBA program, and an executive MBA program. Nick, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope we will be helpful with our discussion to prospective master's applicants all over the world in helping them choose the right masters for them. And I would like to start our discussion with the question, what is actually a master's degree program? How does it differ from an MBA, for example, or an executive MBA? And who is eligible to apply for a master's? Nick, would you like to begin?
Sure. Yeah, a master's degree is typically a 1 or 2 year program which is taken after a bachelor's program. So in a business school context, master's programs are usually taken within 2 years of graduation from undergraduate. Depending on the program, a master's can be consecutive, in which case the candidate should have a bachelor's in the same subject, or non-consecutive, in which case the master's can be used to change professional orientation, or both. Some programs, such as the ESMT Masters in Management, it doesn't matter what you studied, you can study, even if studied any discipline beforehand.
Okay, and how does a master's differ from an MBA? Nick?
Yeah, a master's differs from an MBA in that the MBA programs are really targeted at people with work experience. So I think typically in Europe you'll find MBA programs require a minimum of 3 years work experience. Many have an average of 6 or 7 years. So a master's program or a specialist master's program or a MIM program, you'll hear lots of different terminology. That's really targeting people earlier in their career, so people directly out of undergraduate or with 2 years experience or less.
Okay, and what is the value of a master's degree for a young professional, no matter whether these young professionals already have some experience or come straight out of their bachelor's degree program? Why should they consider a master's degree? Nick?
Yeah, sure. The master's degree, I would say, is often needed to sharpen one's profile and to reorient a little bit after the early university years. People may have chosen something to study when they were very young, maybe with 16 years of age or so. And bachelors often give basic training, whereas master's programs are more tailored towards specific professional opportunities often. I think doing a master's gives the graduates a further couple of years of life skills and maybe maturity so that they're better prepared for the workforce, also in terms of soft skills, not alone in terms of hard skills.
Okay, Renaud, what is your perspective?
It's quite the same. In fact, a master's degree is like a stepping stone between the student's academic life, and the future career. They learn from an international cohort. They learn case studies, projects, and they have an internship at the end of the program. So it's more, yes, it's more a professional experience with a professional expert in the program. It's between the academic life and the professional one.
Okay, so the master's degree brings a lot of value for people to increase their chances for getting a higher starting position, a higher salary, maybe a higher potential for faster career growth.
Yes,
Well,
it is consequence in the end. Sorry. Yes, Nick, sorry.
I think that's right. I think it's not only that. I think that it's often expected. I think because of reforms in Europe in particular through the Bologna Accord, often longer programs have given way to split bachelor's and master's programs, and I think that often master's programs are not only a way into a higher position, but they're also expected by employers in many markets. It's probably less true in markets like the UK, but it's certainly in continental Europe. It's often difficult even to get a foothold in the door with just a bachelor's, because employers are not used to seeing graduates come out of university with 3 years university experience, and often they don't feel that the graduates have the life skills. Maybe they feel they're a little bit too young, and a master's is often seen as a rounding out of the educational experience.
Okay, so going through a master's also adds to the maturity and to the overall life experience of a professional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of career prospects, do today's master's degree programs play the role that bachelor's degree used to play in the past? So many people claim that a master's degree is the new bachelor's degree. So kind of this is the minimum requirement for a successful career. Do you have this same feeling about it? Renaud?
I think those kind of programs answer to different needs, and they really complement one another. A bachelor degree gives students the opportunity to learn the fundamentals of the management and gain the first internship experience, for example. The internship period during the bachelor's degree is usually more like a discovery session. It's the first step of the professional life. And a master's degree, on contrary, allows the student to apply their knowledge in a specific field, in a specific industry. Students are more mature, they have a clear vision of their professional plan, of their professional objectives, and the experience they have during the master's degree is more detailed. They go deeper in the experience, and they have more responsibilities during the internship, for example. So it's two kind of different program. I think that the bachelor is made for students who don't have any specific career plan, and a specialized program is more for students who have a clear objectives and a clear professional plan.
Okay, that's very important for our audience to understand, because career objectives are a very essential element of selecting a master's program when the time
I just jump in there. So I think it's very there are many people who have studied something at bachelor's level and figured out, actually that's not what I want to do. And I think if you take what I mentioned at the beginning, a non-consecutive master's, so if you come out of an engineering degree, for example, and you say, actually I'm more interested in business, I think a master's degree will give you the opportunity also to switch. So it's a little different to being the new bachelor's, because it's the modularization of education, which means that you can make changes and switch around after your bachelor's, is definitely beneficial to people who may not have known exactly what they wanted to do from the day they were born.
Okay, so we agree that the masters are not exactly what bachelors used to be, that they are really the next stepping stone, and they have the value of their own in terms of career plans. And we already touched on this, that having a clear career objective is essential for selecting a master's degree program. And my question is, when is actually the right time career-wise to consider a master's degree program? Can it be too early or too late to think about a master's degree and to start a master's program? Renaud?
It depends. I think it depends on the personality of the applicants. Some of them want to do the master program just after the undergraduate program because they know what they want to do and they want to learn more things and go deeper in the experience in what they want to learn. So they do that just after the undergraduate program. And some of them, as Nick said before, want to work maybe 1 to 3 years, and after 3 years, they go back to school because they're now after 3 years of working experience, they know what they do in the end, they know what they want to do in the future, and they go back to school to do a master program and to complete their academic experience in order to have more responsibility, for example, or to learn how to manage people and to learn different things.
And just to add to this question, what is, for example, the average age of the master students in M-Lyon's programs?
It's about 23 years old mostly.
23 when they start the program.
When they start, yes.
Yeah, but it's a 1-year program. Okay, so can it be kind of too late to begin a master's? Is there any age beyond which it is not recommended, or there are some limitations on behalf of the schools to apply for a master's program?
I'd like to take that one, actually. I think it's never too late. I think there are master's programs for all types of people at all stages in their lives: pre-experience, post-experience, conversion. My own personal story, I did a master's myself, a specialist master's in development economics. I was 30. Almost everybody else in the program was in their early 20s, and I had a very enriching time. So it's kind of affected my approach towards ageism in our industry. But I think if there had been a post-experience program of the same type available, I might have got more out of it. It might have been more interesting. So I think in the business school world, there's a very clear segmentation. Master's programs, specialist master's programs or master's in management programs are focused on the pre-experience market. And MBA or executive MBA programs are pitched at those with more work experience. So I think the business school industry is very clear about who it's targeting in terms of their career timeline.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but how do young students, bachelor's degree students, get a better idea about what they want to do as a next step? What is the career they want to take? What helps them? Because clearly they have to have a career focus in order to select a master's. So what additional steps can they take during the bachelor's degree or immediately after that to make sure that they are on the right career path? Should they do kind of internships, career counseling, or I don't know, any ideas? What are your impressions?
Sure. Yeah. I think definitely the more things that somebody during their bachelor's can try out, the more likely they are to know whether they like it or not. I think it's really important that people follow their instinct, follow their passion, rather than try to plan for a career that they think is going to be successful, in inverted commas, because the worst thing you can do is choose something that really doesn't interest you because you think it's going to get you a salary or something like that. So I think really what I would advise anyone to do is, really decide what is it that you would like to spend your time doing. Not what sort of job do you want, but what do you see yourself doing on a day-to-day basis that you think is going to be fun for you and is going to be enriching for you. I think the salaries and all that and the good jobs will come by themselves if you're passionate about what you're doing. So I would say introspection and trial and error is probably the best advice people would give. And I think through internships you get a lot of different visibility about what might suit you or what might not.
Mm-hmm. Renaud, do you have master students who have been through internships or part-time jobs in their bachelor's degree programs?
Yes, of course. We have several kinds of applicants because they are looking for several things. Their background, sometimes they have international experiences. They have some interesting internships, of course. Sometimes they have done a management school or a school where they can do internship at the first level. So thanks to those kind of internship experiences, international experiences, they have learned and they already know what they want to do. We have some other personalities, universities students, for example, they haven't done any internships, they don't have any professional experiences, so they have only theory about what they want to do, and they want to integrate a master program to do those kind of internship and to check what they like doing in a company, to check that during those internship.
Mm-hmm. And were there any students who decided during the master's program that this is not the right thing for them to do? And they
Yes.
dropped out from the program?
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell us some stories or why this happens and how can this be prevented?
Yeah, I can tell you where it's happened with our Masters in Management program, and that's where somebody was really was on the border between being a good fit for our Masters in Management and being a good fit for our MBA, and had really then decided, no, the Masters in Management curriculum, ours is longer, it's more technical than the MBA, and he had decided that that was the way he wanted to go forward. And then after the first week of the program, he realized actually, no, he wanted to study with people who had a more leadership focus, who had a bit more work experience. So he decided to take himself back to the job market for a couple of years, and then to do an MBA later. So, it does happen, and it doesn't happen very often, but it happens from time to time. And I think schools need to be flexible in terms of understanding when that happens.
Yeah, and I think there is also the role of the admissions committee in evaluating whether applicants have the right expectations to the program. And
absolutely.
Sometimes not admitting someone is a win-win situation.
Yeah, I mean, you have the example maybe of 1 in 300 or 400 people who start the program that might happen to. An admissions committee is composed of a group of humans, so we don't always get it right, but for the most part, we seem to do a pretty good job, I would say.
True, that's why the selection process involves different elements, tests, statements of purpose, interviews,
etc. Yeah.
So that everyone, both sides, are sure that this is the right next step for the applicant. Right. Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
René, would you like to add something on this?
Yeah, it happens when a student wants to it happens sometimes, but before they integrate the program, we propose the student to participate to kind of open classes where they can assist to a class, for example, on the programs they are applying to, and it's like a test. So they check that they meet current students, they meet the teacher, they go in the real classroom, and in this way they test the behavior of the teachers, of the students, the atmosphere of the school, and thanks to this kind of sessions, in the end, when they integrate the program, they know what they are going to do in the end, and that's why it doesn't happen a lot of time. It still happens for personal reasons. Sometimes they want to quit the program or things like that, but it's quite rare.
Thank you. This was a very important point, and it's very worthwhile for every prospective student to visit the universities that they are considering, to sit on open classes, to meet professors and students. A question to both of you again: how often do you welcome students to such open classes or campus visits? Do you handle kind of individual requests for visits, or everything is always organized? Nick?
Nick, okay.
Sure. Yeah, we do both. So it's funny, we used to always only do individual visits because it gives a more authentic experience, and we will Anybody who wants to visit at any time, all they need to do is send us their CV and say, I'd like to come and visit. And if they're appropriate for any of our programs, of course, we'll welcome them. We'll pair them up with a student ambassador. They can sit in on a class. They can have lunch with students. And we do that. We don't do it on a daily basis, but pretty much any time anyone wants to come. So there's always visitors coming in and out. Then we found out a couple of years ago that, the market didn't really understand that this was possible. So we created a series of open days as well. And so we have an open day every 2 months, but we have visitors on a daily basis. And if I was a prospect, if I was looking at schools, I'd want as authentic an experience as possible. So I would try to arrange a visit to visit a real class rather than an open day class. I think it just gives you a better feel, and you hang out with more students and spend more time with having real conversations. But either one works.
I would agree with you that sometimes applicants are kind of shy of communicating to the business schools, and they are not aware that this great opportunity is actually possible. Renaud, how often do you welcome prospective applicants on campus?
We do campus days. Depends two times a month. It depends on the period of the year, but we mostly do it personally. Every time a student asks to a student advisor to visit the campus, to meet ambassadors, to assist to a class, we do that individually as well, as much as we can. But it's more and more often now. It's a student want to come in the campus to feel the atmosphere of the campus, to meet the students and the teachers as well. They want to see the classroom now they're going to be set in the end in September. So we do that more and more often.
And Emlyon has 5 campuses. Do you welcome prospective students on all 5 campuses for visits?
Yes, so we have other teams in Morocco and in China, but we do that in Paris and in Saint-Etienne as well. And we have the same questions, and we do the same kind of campus days and open classes in every campus.
Great. This is really a great opportunity. And now I have a very difficult question, not for you, but a challenge for prospective applicants. How can they differentiate between programs in the same field bearing exactly the same names? Like, how does the program in finance in Emlyon, for example, differ from the program in finance in ESMT or Masters in Marketing? What should they look for in order to understand whether one is better suited for them than the other? Nick?
Yeah, I think that all the programs may look the same in terms of title, and a lot of that comes from the need to fit in, for example, to ranking criteria. For example, you take the Financial Times Masters in Management ranking. So they say, okay, we'll rank Masters in Management programs. So there are a lot of programs which are very, very different, but they're all grouped together under the title Masters in Management. I think you have to really look at the curriculum. If you look at, for example, ESMT's curriculum, it's extremely targeted. It's focused on analytics, quantitative portfolio management, innovation, and strategy. And other Masters in Management programs may be more focused in marketing or consumer industries. So you really have to go in and look at the curriculum, look at who's employing the graduates, what positions they're going into, and then sort of in the general side, trying to look at the reputation of the school. You should look at the accreditations, the faculty, what the faculty are researching will also give you a good idea of the nuance of the school. So really, it does take a lot of work. Don't just judge from a course title and a ranking, for example, because that may push you in a direction that you don't want to go in. So you need to do a lot of work on the research side.
And just a very practical question: how deep into the curriculum can the prospective student get on the website, or should they contact the admissions to get a more detailed description?
Yeah, I think generally on the website there's enough information. I mean, you can go into analysis paralysis if you're looking at if you really want to see the syllabus of each course. That's not actually relevant. I think just looking at the flavor and looking at the employment outcomes, that should give you enough of a taste, together with the faculty. I mean, I think most schools these days, their websites really have all of the information that the school feels you should need to make a decision on whether you're going to apply for the program, and then the rest of your time should be spent talking to current students, alumni, or visiting the school.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Renaud, how does your master's in management differ?
It's just, Nick said, the rankings are really important, the accreditation as well. It's the first step, I think, to look for a program. But after that, I think it's quite mandatory to meet students, to meet current students, to meet alumni, to meet teachers. It's quite the same subject that we said before, to go to the campus days, to feel the atmosphere of the school. It's really, really important. And of course, you have a lot of information in our website, a lot of information about the careers of the former students, of these alumni, the salary and everything. But I think the most important is to exchange with current students and to know what they live every day in the program. It's really, really important. It's important also to check what they do in the program, the kind of cases they do, business cases they do in the program. In terms of professionals they will meet in the program, which companies will do courses in the program as well. It's important to go deep in the program and what they are going to learn and who they are going to meet during the program.
So it's not only the curriculum with its theoretical part and list of courses, but it's also all the additional experiences and services that they can get into the university or business school, right?
Exactly. A lot of business school offer quite the same kind of courses, the same theme, marketing, finance and everything. But I think it's really important to check what they are going to do in marketing, who they are going to meet. It's really important to talk about network as well, and all the services a business school can provide in terms of network, professional network, alumni networks as well. How we're going to help the student find the first internship during the bachelor or the master program. How we are going to help the student find his first job as well. The way we are going to help him to find a job is really, really important. It's even more, sometimes for students, it's even more important than the courses in the program. It's the way we are going to help him find a job, and not only a job they want to do in the future.
Okay, Nick?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable enough. I mean, I think nothing to add there.
Okay, another difficulty for students considering a program abroad in another country is how do they judge about the quality of this program, the recognition of the diploma, the reputation of the program in certain countries, industries. What would you advise them? Renaud?
It's quite the same question as before. How can an international student can find a school, you mean?
How can they judge about the quality of the program, the reputation, whether the diploma will be recognized, for example, back in their home country or by employers in another country? All these practical questions.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a matter of rankings as well, a matter of accreditations. I think the student has to make sure before applying to a program that the program is really recognized in the international scene, recognized in the professional scene as well. Yes, of course, it's really important thanks to the rankings, the accreditations, the alumni networks, the professional networks as well. He has to check everything before applying it. And again, he has to exchange with the students, exchange maybe with other international students who have applied before, and talk with them and make sure that it's the right program, the right school, and the right program.
Mm-hmm. And Nick,
yeah,
would you like by starting explaining what is the difference between accreditation and rankings very briefly?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'll come to that in a second, but
Sure.
in terms of judging the quality, reputation, and recognition of a master's program, I think nothing speaks louder than employers. So I would say, who's employing the graduates and what jobs they're doing? I mean, I think at the end of the day, accreditation, yeah, fine, it's important. Rankings, fine, it's important. But really, where are the people going? What are they doing afterwards? And is that something that you can identify with as an applicant? So accreditations are really the school's almost license to operate. So you have a national accreditation, which is basically given by the state the school is in, and without that, the school is often not able to award a degree. Then you have the international accrediting bodies, AACSB, which is an American one, EFMD, which is a European one, and they award an EQUIS accreditation. And then there's AMBA, which is the Association of MBAs. It's a UK-based organization. And everybody talks about the Triple Crown. We have the Triple Crown. EM Lyon has the Triple Crown. But I think, if you've got a couple of accreditations of the international ones, I think the Triple Crown is a marketing message that you don't really need to take that seriously. I think it's important that they have at least one of the international accreditations, or two, preferably. Then rankings is another issue. So rankings, there are loads of organizations doing rankings. I'm extremely skeptical of rankings, and because I think they discourage innovation. So the more a school is focused on rankings, I think the less different their program is allowed to be. I think that also new programs, it takes a number of years for new programs to get ranked. So I think, you can use the rankings as a base guideline. But I'll take an example of our Masters in Management. We launched in 2014. We won't be eligible for that program to be ranked in 2019. So students are only, because you need to be graduated 3 years. And if students are only looking at rankings, then they're not going to see any new program that comes to the market.
Yeah, this is very important to know. Renaud?
It's exactly the same. Yeah, you're right. Be careful, the ranking. So some rankings are maybe more reliable than others. They have to check that before. And that is right. Be careful of the criteria of the rankings. It's really, really important before applying to a school, yes.
So we can say that it is a must for a school to be accredited?
Yes.
Okay. Then prospective students should look at who employs the graduates, and in this way they can be sure that they will get a recognized diploma, and most importantly recognized by the employers, which is kind of the ultimate goal of doing a master's.
In business anyway, yeah.
Yeah, okay. This was very important to differentiate between the accreditation and the rankings and the real value of accreditations. Because rankings are much more kind of popular because they're, the media, and accreditations are not that well understood by the prospective applicants. So.
Yeah, well, accreditations are really an audit. They're somebody comes in and they sit and they look through your business and they look at your strategy and they advise you at the same time as auditing you. They make sure that you're doing what you say you do. They make sure that your student services are what you claim them to be, both in your accreditation documentation and on your website. Rankings it's basically a set of data at any one period in time, which is given by the school and given by the school's alumni. So I think the accreditors get a much better look at the inner workings of a school and put their seal of approval on it. I think it's just a little bit more robust.
Yeah, thank you for this. Another question for our audience that is an international one, and many of our website visitors consider schools abroad, is in addition to just going and studying abroad, what international exposure does the actual program provide to the students? How diverse is the student body, the faculty team? Are there any study visits abroad or internships? Renaud?
Yes, of course. Now every program offers international experiences. In every kind of experiences, you have you are able to learn another language. You have courses in another language, like marketing, for example, in English, in French, or in German. It's possible. You have some experiences in terms of internships as well. It's mandatory for every program at EM Lyon. A student needs to go abroad and needs to learn other cultures and need to learn, to work in another culture in another country. It's mandatory. In terms of cohort as well, in terms of admissions, we work on the fact that we need diversity in the cohort, and we have a lot of nationality, about 83 nationalities in our cohort, in all our students. And in terms of teachers as well, we have international teachers in every programs, and they learn in an international context every day. And I think it's nowadays it's mandatory to work in this international context. We talk about globalization, we talk about how to develop companies in a foreign country, in another culture. It's mandatory to work in this kind of atmosphere.
Nick, how is it at ESMT, which was
Yeah,
created by business?
yes, it's interesting. I mean, we have over 90% international students, so they come from all over the world. I think it depends on the program, whether people are going to go international during their program or not. I think we have to remember that many students who come to us are specifically doing that because they want to understand Germany. They want to work in Germany after their program. They see the job market here is really strong. So we have opportunities for international programs, modules in all of our programs, but we don't make them mandatory. A couple of interesting ones from our Masters in Management that I just highlighted. We have social impact projects as part of our Masters in Management. So these are 2-month-long projects where we have, at the moment, we have students doing team-based projects in Peru, in Ecuador, in Kenya, in Vietnam, in Australia. We also have a 6-month internship on our Masters in Management, and that can be taken anywhere in the world. So those who are really have no experience with the job market in Germany, we encourage to do that in Germany. They may be from somewhere far away. And then maybe some of the European students or some of the US students that are here, they often want to take their internship in maybe in Asia. So we have interns in Japan, in Korea, in China at the moment. So yeah, it's a very, very international place, 80% international faculty. But some people, for them, being here is already international enough.
Yeah, but thank you for bringing out this point for it is a good enough reason for people to go study abroad in order to immerse into this particular country, to get to know a particular region, city, particular industry, because really language,
yeah.
True, culture, because some applicants look for this international experience, but others have a specific regional focus. So
yeah.
Actually both are good enough reasons to good enough factors to consider when selecting where to study for a master's degree program. And it's absolutely fine if a program is kind of mononational or with a very local focus, right? As well.
I think it's fine if the focus is in the country, but I think that students these days can get a much better experience if they're part of an international cohort. I don't think going to a local program delivers as much value as going to a program that is a highly international cohort.
Okay.
Yeah, they learn from those international experiences in terms of networks. They meet new people, new cultures. It's really important for them in the future, and they learn about in the human side as well. They learn personal things in this kind of international internships. They learn to live far from the family, far from friends. And it's a really interesting personal experience as well. And this personal experience is going to be helpful during all their future professional life, but future personal life as well. That's why even if they don't want to work in a foreign country in the future, going abroad during the school, during the program, is really important in the personal side as well. Mm-hmm. To develop some capacities, to develop some skills. It's really important.
Would you agree that it is better to go in a foreign country for a master's when you're a little bit more mature, rather than going to a bachelor's degree straight after high school, because students may be too young at that age to live independently and internationally?
I'm not sure about that. I think
Okay.
I think I think it's whatever anybody feels comfortable with. I think often people will look back later on in their career and just be aware of so many great international universities that maybe they weren't aware of. I mean, take my own example. I'm from Ireland. I studied in Dublin for my undergraduate and did an Erasmus year, so that got me away for a year. Looking back, there are so many great universities that I think, well, maybe I should have done my bachelor's in Cambridge or something like that. So I think people are old enough and people are smart enough to go anywhere for their bachelor's. So either way.
Okay, good advice. Thanks. Another question that applicants often have is, are master's programs too theoretical? And what's the balance between theory and practice? Because for the MBAs, they're clearly with a very practical focus, but what about the masters? How do they strike this balance between theory and practical knowledge?
I think in our programs, of course, you have mostly at the beginning some theoretical courses, but they go really, really fast in the practical cases, professional cases, business cases, meeting professionals, and it becomes really, really quickly practical. The aim of the program is to go. I don't know, you learn how to swim in a swimming pool, not in the beach. So they go through the swimming pool directly at the beginning of the program. They go through a professional experience directly, and they learn by doing, they learn by working for a company directly. I think the bachelor, mostly the master's degree, are more practical at EM Lyon than theoretical.
Okay. Nick, how is it at ESMT?
I would say that our master's programs prepare people for immediate value-adding roles in companies. So I think they're quite specific. We give people a lot of tools to be able to add value to an employer. So I think there's no right answer whether a master's should be more theoretical or less theoretical. I think there's a lot of people who maybe would go on to an academic career, so they should choose a more theoretical program, which you would tend to get maybe in a big state university. At ESMT, the masters, it's more important to have a deep understanding of the concepts and the tools as well as how they're applied. So a more practical approach is definitely required to complement the theoretical models.
Are there within the curriculum any courses that are more theoretical and others that are more practical? Or there is a balance in all the courses between theory and practice?
I would say there are less courses that there are no courses, I think, that have a strictly theoretical focus in our school. Unless it can be applied in a professional setting, then we don't teach it.
Okay. Renaud?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just the same at EM Lyon. They learn by doing things directly. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I think many of the applicants will be happy doing that.
I think so, and I think a lot of people just experience in their bachelor's program, they experience this disappointment that so much that they learn, particularly in public universities, so much that people learn is stuff that they can't use. I mean, it's mind expanding, okay, that's fine, but I think that's why people often choose a master's program. They want to learn stuff that they can use.
Yeah, and it's really the added value of a master program is doing what they want to do. No more theory, no more things that they won't be useful in the future. They learn what it's going to be useful in their professional life, in their future career.
Okay, so it seems that master's programs are as practical as MBA programs.
Yeah, they're a little more specific in general, but definitely practical.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you summarize how can prospective applicants decide whether a master's program is actually a good fit for them? Can you list the most essential factors to consider? when you shortlist the schools where you will apply? Nick?
Yeah, sure. I think the two most important characteristics are the intended career outcomes and the intellectual challenge which the program will offer. I would say, think about where you want to work, think about what you would like to spend your time doing, and think about what you love to learn. And then think about the journey, where would you like to live for 1 or 2 years of your life? I think at the end of the day, it's an emotional decision, so I would always encourage people to trust their instincts and not overanalyze the decision. Try and visit the schools, then you can decide if there's a fit. You'll really get to know the culture of a school once you step inside the door. And really, I guess one takeaway, it's also about the journey. It's not all about the outcomes. So people tend to forget that. Everybody's focused on career, but this is 1 or 2 years of your life, so you may as well enjoy it while you're doing it. So that's important to consider as well.
Renaud, what would you advise prospective applicants?
Yes, a prospective applicant needed to mostly work before applying, because yes, they need to check what they want to do and what they like doing, and they need to go deep in their personality and to see what I would like to do in the future and what I like doing now, and thanks to this kind of reflections, they will find the right program in several university or schools. They need to, of course, talk with alumni, talk with current students, as we said before, talk with the teachers, go to the campus days, go to the courses, and feel the experience and the atmosphere of the school they want to apply to. It's really important. They need to check that they're going to go and they're going to be we are going to help them to go abroad, as we said before, for an internship. They're going to take advantages of several services at the school, networks, alumni networks, career networks, companies networks. It's really important to check everything before applying and to know what they want to do, what they like doing before applying.
This reminds me of another question. In your impressions, do applicants apply to one school or to several? And if they're admitted to several schools, how do they decide where to enroll? Nick?
Yeah, interesting question. I would say that maybe 1/3 of our applicants only apply to us, and 2/3 apply to anything between 2 and 10 schools. So there are people who apply around a lot. And I would say to people, it's important to maybe have a couple of applications on the go. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Some people know really where they want to go, and other schools are actually a backup school for them. Other people really are genuinely undecided and want to see what comes back as an offer to them. And quite often, a big part of the offer might be whether they get any financial aid, whether they can fund the program, and also whether they've got had any other enlightening moments throughout the admissions journey. How they've been treated by the admissions office often plays a role. How they've been handled, whether they feel that there's a culture that they like in terms of the way people are working with them. Often the decision is also financial in the end of the day. I think that's it really.
Okay, Renaud?
Yes, the financial side is really important for the student. First, of course, you have the atmosphere, you have the meeting of students and everything, as we said before. But in the end, yes, the financial side is really important, and the way we are going to, it's still a kind of service we offer to the students. The scholarships is the same. The way we are going to help the student come in the school, international ones specifically, how we are going to welcome them, to find them somewhere to live, to help them financing the fees as well, the daily fees and the tuition fees as well. So yeah, it's a matter of scholarships and of finance, how to finance the program.
And can you tell us a little bit more about how students at Emily finance their studies? Is it a combination of scholarships, savings? Do they have the opportunity to work on campus or off campus to finance their studies?
as you said, is a combination of every solution we can find them. It's that they can have a bank loan, for example. They can have personal fundings, of course, and they can also have guaranteed scholarship. For example, if they have a brilliant GMAT score, for example, they can have a guaranteed scholarship. About 60% of the tuition fees. They can have individual scholarships as well. If they ask for scholarship in their application form, they can have individual scholarships as well. So we help international students to come to EM Lyon and to have the opportunity to learn in our campus.
Mm-hmm. And many students think that they would work during their studies in order to support themselves. Is this possible? Is this recommended? What's your advice?
I think they're going to work during the internship. During the program, especially for the specialized program, the courses between September and March are really intense. So to be honest, it's quite hard to find a work in parallel of the program. They will earn money and have the first salary during the internship, of course, and during their future career, but not in parallel of the courses, to be honest with you.
Thank you. This is very important because many students are kind of tempted to earn some money while working. But since the programs are very intensive, maybe this is not such a good idea, because they have to focus on their studies ultimately.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And Nick, how do ESMT students fund their studies there?
Yeah, it's a combination of loans, internship funding. Our program includes a 6-month paid internship. Some people get some financial aid, not everybody, but some people. Many people at the master's level, so the pre-experienced masters, get support from their family. We have a couple of loan programs. One is with Prodigy Finance, so that's open to everybody regardless of nationality. And we've also an interesting one by a company called Brain Capital, where they'll actually take over your whole tuition fee, and then you guarantee to pay them a percentage of your income above a certain level for 10 years after the program. So that's an innovative scheme. In terms of working during the program, in our master's program, it's 2 years, so there's a 6-month paid internship, and then while you're writing your master's dissertation, many people actually choose to become a working student as well. So during the core courses, as Renaud said, it's very, very difficult to work, but then in the peripheral periods, then it's possible.
Mm-hmm. And the financial aid that is provided by ESMT, is it based on financial need, or is it a merit-based scholarship or something based on GMAT scores or academic performance?
We won't give scholarships strictly on somebody having a good GMAT score. I mean, most of the people who are applying have pretty solid GMAT scores at this stage, but we give scholarships on the basis of merit, so to exceptional applicants who we really think will enhance the reputation of the school. We also give funding on a need basis. Actually, we're reasonably generous, particularly to people from developing countries. So if we have some full scholarships, including living expenses, through Kofi Annan Business Schools Foundation. So we have roughly 4 or 5 students every year on full scholarship with stipend. So it's a combination of need and merit. So but the need-based scholarships are very clearly laid out on the website. The merit-based scholarships are really competitive tuition discounting, because we know that these people are going to get loads of offers from whatever program they apply to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so students who need some financial assistance, they should check out the requirements for these scholarships and financial aid to make sure they are eligible for them, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's not enough to see only that there are scholarships, but they have to go deep into the requirements.
You have to try and fit yourself into a box that the school knows what to do with you. So if you look on a school's website, there'll be a whole list of scholarships, and usually some of them are sufficiently vague that people can fit themselves into one box or another. I think that the schools are kind of crafty in that way. They sort of want to get all the applications in, and see who the really good candidates are. So, if you look closely enough, you'll find something that actually fits you, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the question of international exposure. And both of you mentioned that your programs and your campuses are quite diverse internationally, but you sure also have local students, right? So what's the value of studying abroad versus studying in your home country or even in your home city? Renaud?
So yeah, yes, of course, we have local students and we have international ones. It depends on the personality, and it's still a matter of objectives. It's mostly rare now, but we have some students from actually from Lyon, the town where EM Lyon is, one of the campus of EM Lyon, and they want to stay in Lyon because they have a family business and they don't want to go abroad, and they want to work from the center of France, and they don't want to go somewhere else. It's a matter of objectives. It's a matter of professional plan. But most of them nowadays apply to a program because they want to discover the world, because they want to discover new culture, new professional, and a new way to work. Because they need that. Now we work on innovation. We work on the international thing, and they need to learn, even if in the end they want to come back to Lyon and to do their life in Lyon. They need to discover the world first, to acquire experiences, international experiences, and then go back with all those new tools and with all those experiences.
So there are different levels where they can experience international exposure. One is, for example, to join a local school offering an international environment, such as yours, or to go abroad to gain a full international experience, right?
The nice thing in some master's program at EM Lyon is that they have the opportunity to learn at EM Lyon, in one of the EM Lyon campus in France or in China or in Morocco, and they also have in the same program the opportunity to go abroad in another university in UK or in United States or in Germany. They can do the same. They can do both in the same program.
And for how long can they go abroad?
It's about 3 months at EM Lyon, 3 months in another university, and for example 3 more months in China, for example, in our Asian campus.
Okay, that's an interesting.
And after that, an
opportunity.
international internship they can do wherever they want.
And Nick, how many local students are there at ESMT?
There's about 10% from Germany. A few of those are from Berlin. I wouldn't judge anybody who says I actually love where I'm from and I don't actually want to move in an international environment in a local context. It's perfect for me. I think that people should be aware that studying at home means you're more likely to have a career at home. So I would say think about where you want to work, what sort of life experience you want, and maybe for some people moving to a different city in their home country is enough. They can stay close to friends and family. But for others who are maybe more adventurous, the world is their playground, and a program abroad might be a better option. I think there are just people are different. I think the majority of people in Germany anyway who have the resources to do it would prefer to experience life in another country on a master's program than apply to Germany. And I think if you look at any of the GMAT score sending statistics, you see, the vast majority of students in Europe apply to programs outside of their home country. Obviously that's not true for the US. The reverse is true. 99% or something, or 95% of US GMAT scores taken by Americans are sent to American schools. But I think in Europe, the international readiness is much higher.
And do you think it's a better strategy to go abroad to get a foreign degree and then come back home to look for a job, or study locally, get well connected, and look for a job? Which is a better strategy?
I think that the first strategy that you said is more life enriching. So, I mean, I think anybody who wants to can develop their local network and stay where they're from and develop a career that way, as if they're a good professional. But I know for me, for example, and for most of the people I meet here at ESMT, that would not be enough for them for what they're looking for from their life.
Renaud, would you like to add a comment on this?
But I think the ideal thing is to do both. Is to do maybe 1 year in another university, the undergraduate program, and after that doing a program in your own country. And I think it's quite easy now to do both. To do 1 year in another university and then come back and doing an international program in your own country. You can do both.
Mm-hmm. And as we are approaching the end of our discussion, I have 2 more questions. One of them is, please share some very exciting career success and life-changing stories of your students. Renaud?
So, of course, we have some success story for our alumni. For every program, because they are focused in several industries like luxury, the sport industry, the hospitality management. We have some entrepreneurial programs as well. So we have some brilliant careers, and we have some students who become a CEO of international company, really famous ones. They work for Hermès, for example, in the luxury industry, for Cartier as well, and they come back into school now to share their experiences in Cartier, Hermès, or another really famous brand. For the sport, we have some students who work for Babola, for example, in the tennis industry, for Puma, Nike as well, Adidas, of course. And we have some entrepreneurs. They're not that famous because the companies they have created are not really famous yet, but they have created some companies who are going to become more and more famous in the future. So we have just inaugurated our new incubator at EM Lyon, and it was just 1 week ago. And yes, we have some really nice success story, and some students who are going to become more and more famous when their new venture will become more important.
Yeah, I think it's actually very difficult to start your own company. So brave people.
We help them very well, and thanks to the incubator, they are really self-confident and they can create their own company quite safely.
And these entrepreneurs, do they come into the program with a clear idea that they want to start their own business, or they take this decision during the program?
It depends. At EM Lyon, sometimes you have the reputation at EM Lyon that when you apply to EM Lyon, you will create your own company, which is false. Of course, you can create your own company thanks to EM Lyon, but you can work in another field, obviously. So some students who apply to an entrepreneurial program, like the Global Entrepreneurship Programs or the Specialized Masters Entreprendre, some of them want to develop a project in a famous company, in a really important company. They need entrepreneurial skills, but they don't really want to build their own company. They want to work for a famous company and become a business developer, for example. And some other, yes, of course, have already, before applying to the program, they already have the brilliant idea to develop their company. And so they integrate the incubator, and they have the opportunity to meet a lot of professionals who are going to help them creating and developing the companies they have the idea.
And just to add to this question, how do you help them in starting their careers? What are the career services for master's students at EM Lyon? Not only for the entrepreneurs, but also for those who want to be employed.
But first, at the beginning of some programs, there are some workshops, where they learn how to do some letters to be in contact with the companies, how to do a resume. It's the first step of the how to find an internship and how to find a job. They meet professional of recruitment as well, and they do like some simulations of interviews to apply to a company or to apply for an internship, for example. We learn them how to find a job thanks to all the tools you can find on the websites, all the websites you can have on internet. We help them how to answer to job offers, for example, and we follow them until they find the internship. If they don't find the internship in April, for example, from some specialist masters, we do that personally, individually, and we help them until they find an internship. We won't find an internship instead of them because it's part of the courses to work and to work how to find the internship, but we're going to help them, we're going to coach them until they find this internship.
Thank you. This is very important for prospective students to understand that they have to be the active side in looking for a
Yes,
job or for an internship. And the university is there to help them, but not to do the job instead of them, right?
exactly.
Nick, what are the career services that you have for your master students, and share some exciting career success stories?
Okay. Yeah, maybe start with the exciting things. I mean, I can echo a lot of what Renaud has said. Around the entrepreneurship side, we have a fairly strong focus on entrepreneurship here. The latest success, I mean, without talking about listing off CEOs and names and everything like that, we have, our latest startup is a virtual reality company. So it's a group of our alumni who have a technical background and have started off on the path for making virtual reality for pharma. So they've now created a product where you can actually put on your virtual reality goggles and go inside the human body to demonstrate the impact that a drug has on the inside systems of the human body. So it's really for pharma companies to market to medical professionals. There's stories like that all the time, and startup stories, and they're always really exciting. What I would say is it's very difficult to control to control for the effect that the program has actually had, because these guys, maybe they would have done it anyway. So we hope we've had some impact on helping them to make a success of their business, but generally they'll be entrepreneurial people and they'll have those ideas already. We just try to help channel them in the right way and help them to understand the entrepreneurial process better, and we help them practice through startup challenges and things like that. I think in terms of life-changing stories, which was your original question, I think an example of a life-changing story that happens during the program is really on our social impact projects. So if you imagine yourself coming from continental Europe and you end up on a project in Kenya and South Sudan to evaluate the effectiveness of investment programs on public health, and imagine that as a 23-year-old who's never left Europe before, that's going to change your life. That's going to really frame your perspectives for forever. Or working on a pilot plant to encourage indigenous communities in Ecuador to capture more value from their indigenous natural health remedies. There's loads of life-changing opportunities in master's programs these days. The practical elements in particular, you just have to go out and seize them. The career services part, yes, we help all of our students get their internships. We don't stop, like Renaud, until they've got their internships. The school provides plenty of opportunities, but students also find their own. And likewise for graduating students, we are there until way past graduation to help them with personal coaching, with contacts, with networks. I think Renaud pretty much said it all on the career services side.
Okay, and yes.
They found their internship. We'll follow them because we have our alumni networks called EM Lyon Forever, and we help them until they find a job, not only an internship, and even some years after being graduated, we still coach them and help them to find the job they want to do in the end.
Is this done by a career center at M Lyon?
The Career Center is mostly focused on the first job after being graduated. And after that, we have our alumni networks who work with the graduated to find another job after maybe it's all our cases after 3, 4, 5 years of the same job. We want to change. We want to change the country where we live. We want to change the company where we work, and we help them to find another company or another kind of job uh, after 4, 5 years or after 10 years.
That's very interesting. And Nick, because ESMT is funded by business, how many of the companies that founded ESMT actually recruit or provide internships to your students?
Interesting question. It's changed a lot. So our biggest recruiters are now not our founders. So our biggest recruiters tend to be multinational companies from outside of Germany who are active in Germany or Europe. Biggest recruiter here is Microsoft. Second biggest is Amazon. We were founded by German industry who they've come back to us a lot now that we've launched our Masters in Management program, because they're very comfortable with taking on young interns. Internship is a very strong has a very strong history in Germany, but in terms of MBA recruitment, our MBA students are much more likely to get positions in international companies active in Germany rather than in German companies. So our founders, you have the consulting companies typically, so McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, you have Deutsche Bank, those companies like that, Allianz, they're MBA hirers. But then you have, for example, the car manufacturers. Two of our founders are Daimler and BMW. They simply don't hire MBAs in Europe they don't know really where to put them. They grow their talent internally, but where they've really started, they support the school really through internships, and then coming out of master's programs in particular, there's a lot more opportunity with that set of companies than coming out of the MBA program.
That's exciting for someone who wants to work for one of these companies, master's students at ESMT. And my final question is, what do you personally find most exciting about doing an MBA, a master's, not an MBA, a master's program today? Why should people do a master's program? Reno?
I think it's really personal, but I think the international experiences and all the experiences you learn in a master's program is really interesting, but mostly the international ones. Studying with an international cohort, with several nationalities, several cultures, in terms of students and in terms of teachers as well. I think it's really interesting, and it's really important in a scholar life, in an academic life. Meeting professional as well during the program is interesting, because in terms of networks and professional networks, it's really useful in the future career. So I think the professional side and the international exposure of the program is I think the two most important things for personally in a master program.
Nick?
Yeah, I actually I was out yesterday evening with our masters group before they head off on their internship over a beer, and I actually asked them pretty much the same question, and I think universally they came back and said the opportunity to interact with a very diverse group of highly motivated people, all looking to better themselves in one of the world's most dynamic and exciting and affordable cities. That was the answer I got from our own master's students, and that's pretty much what I would have expected.
Yeah, I think that business schools are doing a great job into creating this learning environment for their master's students as well as for their MBAs, by carefully selecting people from diverse backgrounds with focused careers, motivation to develop and to learn, putting them all together. So this is a very special environment. So thank you for joining me today to discuss this evergreen topic about how to choose the right master's program. And thank you for all the useful and practical advice that you shared for for our audience. It was a pleasure to have you here today, and I hope to meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.